Growth is inclusive when it creates economic opportunities which are equally accessible by everyone. It alleviates poverty and increases the involvement of people in the growth process. Inclusive growth, by its very definition, implies an equitable allocation of resources with benefits reaching every section of the society. With inclusive development being a policy agenda, the government runs several socio-economic schemes exclusively focused on empowerment of rural India. One such pioneering scheme is the Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme, also known as MGNREGS. The scheme legally guarantees employment of adult members of every rural household, promising 100 days of employment at stipulated wages. The scheme not only aims at ensuring financial freedom for rural income groups, but also creates a viable rural infrastructure. To assess and strengthen the service delivery process of the scheme, CUTS Centre for Consumer Action Research and Training, CUTSCART, collaborated with the Partnership for Transparency Fund. CUTSCART carried out the assessment through an intervention of Right to Information Act, RTI. Nicknamed as CitizensUp, the project has been implemented in 4 blocks in District Jaipur and in 2 blocks in District Tonk in the state of Rajasthan, reaching out to 45,000 entitlement holders. It was found that a large number of problems plagued the scheme's implementation, like corruption, leakages, and delayed payment. The intervention of CUTSCART demonstrated rise in the demand for new job cards, payment of rightful entitlements and wages, heightened public engagement, and increased use of RTI by victims of corruption. The primary stakeholders of the scheme are its end beneficiaries. With this in mind, CUTS organized community meetings from the beginning, making villagers real partners of the project. CUTS identified proactive community members to create 6 consortium of groups for combating corruption, a platform which acted as a watchdog and a powerful support structure to the movement. CUTS carried out extensive baseline surveys in proposed locations. After completion of the survey, it was time to take it back to the people. Block-level interface meetings were held to share survey findings and current positions. Quarterly storytelling and write shop were also organized, in which the consortiums shared their updates. 2 independent model RTI Gram Panchayats were constituted. The novel सूचना का अधिकार एवं जन सहायता केंद्र also emerged, where anyone could walk in for guidance and advice. District Media RTI Group was formed for effective usage of RTI and media engagement.
This CitizensUp Project is an initiative against corruption, and it was mainly implemented at grassroots using RTI as a tool in MGNREGS. This entire intervention was well fitting into the national context as well. When all the activities of this project were in full swing at national level, a big movement against corruption was going on. This intervention is led and owned by local communities involving local people, entitlement holders of MGNREGS, women and youth on one hand, and local media, local NGOs and PRIs on the other. Though it was a bit challenging for us to find the right and committed stakeholders at the cutting edge level as well as within the system, but finally we did it. Range of issues are not only identified but quantified and rectified as well, and even a recovery of 47,200 rupees was made in 2 cases in which corrupt officials deposited back the engulfed money. We could achieve a new set of data on corruption which was not existing earlier, and putting it into the public domain, and creating a proactive and vibrant network of local communities as grassroots. And we also created a critical mass which was capable and skilled enough to dig out the issues and areas of corruption, as well as reforming the service delivery processes in a sustainable and strategic manner.
CUTS also prepared a compendium of orders and circulars related to transparency and RTI as a long-term compliance monitoring tool. More than 20 peer learning events were organized at district, block and Gram Panchayat levels for cross-learning. In fact, a 9-member delegation visited Andhra Pradesh where best practices and social audit processes were discussed and reviewed. Just before the project's closure, end-line surveys were conducted that revealed that the one-year intervention had resulted in significant ground-level changes. Today, villagers take the initiative in discussing their issues and participating actively in the decision-making process. Dissemination of the project findings are shared on all platforms. Worksite facilities have been developed in more than 10 Gram Panchayats. There is now greater synergy between the policy and its recipients. Stuck wages amounting to 2.5 million rupees were released. New job cards spell financial freedom to many low-income families. This success has come with dedicated efforts and use of a very powerful judicial tool, RTI. This project has yet again re-emphasized the possibilities that RTI holds, even at the grassroots level.
For the last 6 years, CUTS is partnering with an international NGO called Partnership for Transparency Fund, which is supporting citizens against corruption. This particular intervention is part of the efforts of CUTS in combating corruption using the Right to Information Act as a tool. The main focus of this particular intervention was to contribute towards corruption-free and transparent implementation of the National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme by doing various things. That means with increased people's participation and also the inclusion of the excluded segments into this scheme, and also helping the people to get the full entitlements, thus in turn improving the quality of the governance of implementation of this particular scheme. And the results of the end of the project survey shows that there is substantial improvement in the quality of implementation of this particular scheme. For example, from 5% it increased into 35%, the percentage of the people who got full entitlements under this particular scheme. And also there was a 10-fold increase in the percentage of the people who got the stipulated full wages under scheme. Various such areas the improvements are there.
The country has to take a development approach that reaches out to the societies marginalized. It is then that democracy's true vision comes alive. The effective rollout and monitoring of this national employment scheme is a critical link in this vision. The challenge is formidable, and along with the administration, CUTS continues to strive for greater transparency and accountability.